My name is John Abdulla. I work at Oxfam in the US. I've been here for about 10 years now. It's been quite a stretch, and we are an organization that works to end the injustice of poverty. And, we really believe that poverty is an injustice in our world today. We work across the globe to respond to humanitarian disasters. We do advocacy work to change policies, and we do long-term work to really help people lift themselves out of poverty. And that's a mission that really, is very meaningful to me, and specifically I manage a team at Oxfam that oversees our marketing technology. We're a fairly new team in the current structure that I think has tried to borrow a lot from product model from other organizations, where we have a team that's really looking out for the vision of our technology. So that includes the marketing tools that we use for fundraising and advocacy, as well as our CRM and our websites, as well as the back end and front end to manage that in a way that we feel will kind of set up our organization to be able to communicate and engage more effectively in the US. So when I think about our mission, and as I said, it's really it's meaningful to me, and when I look at even my role at Oxfam, it comes down to how do we really communicate about these issues in a way that activates people, inspires people to take action, right? And and really can cultivate that kind of support. I mean, because at some level, I think many people around the world want to help, want to change the world, right? And we have something we can offer, which is real expertise in this area as Oxfam, an organization that's been working for many decades across the world, and we feel like we can offer something of value. The thing is, we're not selling a product, right? You don't go to our website and buy something and you get a great, a monthly subscription to some great thing or some tangible product. We're talking about something that at the end of the day is sort of a leap of faith. You're saying, I want to donate to help change the world. I believe in this organization, but we can, it's on us to really create an experience that helps show you the impact that you're making. And that is important, and that's where I think technology can play a huge role. We know now, of course, after being over a year in a pandemic, working remotely, all living remotely, and all living much more in the digital space, how meaningful that experience can be or how bad it can be. And I think for us, just as every nonprofit who's doing kind of mission-based or social justice work, we have to be able to use technology to show you the impact that you can make, and offer a great experience. That's something that we hear a lot about in the for-profit world. Companies like Amazon, Disney, others have paved the way. Everyone expects a great experience now. It doesn't matter if it's from a nonprofit who doesn't have the same budgets. They're expecting it, and so their experience on the web, it has to be great. It has to really show that impact that they're making, and cultivate the kind of long-term support that we need if we're really going to end the injustice of poverty. Several years ago, we did a full redesign of our website. Traditional kind of redesign. It was back end and front end. So we moved from Plone at the time, that's CMS, to we wanted to really go all in on Django. We felt like that would set us up well for success, particularly on the development side. And so we went with Django, and we used Mezzanine as our CMS. We had a really excellent developer leading that work, and we customized things quite a bit to serve our unique needs, because every organization we're unique, and we need things to be set up in particular ways. Probably more, we think we're more unique than we actually are. I think that's one issue right off the bat. And quickly, Mezzanine turned into maybe not our worst nightmare, but it was in a bad place in terms of over customization. And what happened is that developer went on to another organization, and we felt like we were left with a CMS that we couldn't properly maintain, and that we couldn't really continue to do the kind of redesign that we wanted to move towards, which is really evolutionary, right? We had spent over a year doing a website redesign, deeply consultative across the organization, and it just took a long time and a lot of energy. And even a year nowadays, it means that you're already a year behind the most current trends, right? So that was tough, but that we were happy to launch, and we felt like we led a good website redesign, fully responsive, so that was a big deal for us. We had a CMS, like I said, that we couldn't really maintain. And so when this developer left, we had this moment to really consider, do we want to continue on this path? as I said, it's a CMS for developers. It works very well for developers, but that's not it, right? I mean, I think it truly is a CMS for people, right? And I want to highlight that point because for us, I mean, if you really take a step back and consider the purpose of a CMS at all, it's that we want to sort of detangle these layers of technology, right? So that you have content as its own kind of self-sustaining layer within the website that you can get a lot of people access to, and you can scale content in ways that you couldn't before CMSs existed. I think unfortunately, a lot of CMSs though they're not really great for developers, and they're not really great for the people who are actually posting content. And so they're in this weird spot where both have to be able to work within them. But it's rare that you truly hear of the people using a CMS like going out of their way to say they love it or they enjoy using it. And developers are often complaining about having to develop around CMSs. And so with Wagtail, the thing that really just stood out for us is both parties were satisfied, and that was huge. So we had people going in and able to actually make updates with minimal support. And that meant we could focus on the development and we could support along the way while people could really scale the content. And that's where I think it's really helped us be agile both when it comes to the web content as well as the web design and development, so that we can behind the scenes improve sort of the packaging around all of the content while we have content teams that are really working on within the site itself. So this is an example of one of the immersive stories that we created in Wagtail, and this is something that we had actually, our first use case of Wagtail, but also has continued to evolve in our main Wagtail setup now and is integrated with our website. So it allowed us to really have these really full, immersive imagery, which we are fortunate to be in a position where, we travel around the world and have really phenomenal photography, as you can see here with this particular story, which was a kind of a fun one. And everything is really these modules that we can move around and manipulate. So we're able to put video, large blocks of copy. We can do, social sharing. You've got a great kind of map visual here. It just really comes to life, and you can see how this would all translate on mobile really beautifully too, being just the one column that it is. And so Wagtail, again, has allowed us to create what is really, has been a really fantastic presentation. But importantly, we have to be able to actually, have people who can use it on the back end, right? I mean, I remember a day where creating something like this would have been quite a bit of development work and more of a sort of one-off kind of project, right? Not necessarily something that a user could go in and manipulate and kind of move around. But if I wanted to just, in 2 minutes, move components around, add a video, I mean, literally, I could do it in 2 minutes. It's so easy to use the CMS and create this kind of presentation. And so that has really been crucial, and we feel like it'll set us up well for the future. So we found Wagtail to be really compelling. We hear a lot and had heard a lot. It had a good reputation among developers, that it was really a dream to develop in, and that meant that we could have our developers really lead on this project in ways that we hadn't been able to necessarily in the past, where we'd relied on agencies. That said, we also really appreciated having the organization that developed Wagtail, Torchbox, as support and in a variety of ways throughout that project. So, initially we didn't expect we would necessarily need a ton of support, but what happened is due to staff turnover in that experience, we then really did have to lean on Torchbox more significantly during that time period. What's been so great about that relationship is that it has ebbed and flowed, and basically when we need you all, we just sort of put up the bat signal and we can call you, and the bat signal in this case is a new agreement that gets us the exact kind of relationship we need, and is very I think customized in ways that have supported us through the project. And so we needed that sort of focus initially, and then once we got up and running, we've been able to maintain Wagtail. But then periodically, if we know that there's a big improvement we want to make, we're not a huge team, we reach out again, we scope a project, and that's really worked well for us to be able to manage it in that way. So we're all hearing about digital transformation, right? I mean, that's increasingly become buzz, and maybe even, maybe we've already been transformed over the last year. I'm not sure. But for me, that's always been about people. It's how do you support people? How do you help people leverage digital to do the work that they need to do? And honestly, I think every single job, everything we do in our lives in modern day society now, in some way or another, I think can be improved by digital. I won't get into the downsides of all that because there are, but if we're thinking about how digital can improve the experience of our supporters, we're also thinking about how we can improve the experience of our people at Oxfam to leverage technology, right? Whether you're a marketer that needs data or someone who needs to make changes to a website, we believe that creating a great experience and really enabling people to do more in these systems will produce a better product. And so that's where, again, Wagtail has been so critical for us because we have to invest in our people's ability to actually use these tools. We believe that we'll only have more users in there. And so it's really important that alongside the systems improvements, we focus on the people and the process, that we have good processes in place to allow us to kind of scale all of that and continue to get value out of this so that we can deliver that back to our users.